Welcome to the Leadership Transition course. In this module, we will look at leadership quadrant. In the previous module, we talked about leadership and management styles. Now, one way of looking at how you define what way of leading is by actually drawing up what we call a leadership quadrant. Now, it's simply a mapping of two or more important activities or factors that you can use to show different levels or styles of leadership, and you can try to figure out where you are. So for our fictional names like Sarah, James, and John, they can try to put a quadrant where they map what are the important factors they can use and see where they actually fall in by also using some of the examples we will mention. For example, if you would map vision and execution as two factors, where vision is the ability to see and anticipate change required, and execution is the ability to drive and or allow change. Now, for a leader that has a low execution ability and a low vision or ability to see or have a good vision, then simply you are in the bucket of the underachieving leadership. And that will be one of the quadrants. And of course, when you say quadrant, or some people say four quadrant, it means there will be four things appearing to show you where we fall. So a leader with low vision and low execution ability is an underachieving leader, which means the leadership is only reacting and prefers a status quo and does not really attract and keep quality talent. But even when you are, as a leader, do not have great vision but have a great execution ability, then you can be in the quadrant that we call unfocused leadership, which means you know how to execute, but you are not really looking way ahead, which means things like constant streams of ideas and changes in direction could happen without you easily catching it because you didn't look at the long term, but you might just be good at executing in a way that is countering it or makes it better. And sometimes you might end up throwing stuff against the wall and see what happens. And sometimes you're busy and engaged in such a way that even your workers are so busy, engaged, that no one has the time to think ahead, to look at, okay, fine, we're executing nicely, what happens next? But then you go to a quadrant where you might have a low execution ability, but you have a high vision. In that sense, you have an idea of what to do, but you simply don't know how to guide it. So someone who has a high execution knows how to guide it, but doesn't or may not have the vision. And that means he's unfocused. But an unguided leadership in this case means you have a high vision, but you need some guide because you have a low execution ability. In other words, environment of good ideas are there, but they did not take off. And there is a high turnover in group, which means people are likely to share your vision, but you are not that good in executing them, which also has its downside. And then the effective leader is the one who is really good at vision for long term and also execution. And in that way, you see things like collaboration and decision making that are effective, and productivity increases for the staff. So the other two factors you can consider are importance and urgency. So in a situation where you have, for example, low importance and low urgency, in this case, you can limit certain things. These things don't add value, and you can limit the time and manage your team better. In a situation where it's low importance and but high urgency, then you can avoid it because they are trouble, and you can avoid certain situation in that sense. And of course, if they both have high importance and urgency, you need to manage it because it becomes crisis. But this is you being able to recognize which quadrant you fall in or things fall in and what kind of approach you need to use in managing them. Another thing could be how you look at the structured approach, that is respond to things with structured way or unstructured way. When you look at items or parts, how they need to go, if they need to go at a slower or faster pace. And if you look at how you view things, which could be on short term or long term, and result oriented or process. So for someone, a leader who is result oriented and looks at things on a long term is regarded as an innovator, because he combines the transformative and entrepreneurial skills. And someone who looks at the short term view but goes at a higher pace and also result oriented can also be a producer and force with skills that are more directive and entrepreneurial. Also, there are leadership who are more stabilizers because they tend to take things slower and with a structured approach, and they also use process for that. And there are unifiers where they work in an unstructured way with a process and they want to go slower. So again, depending on what kind of factors, whether how you drive a team or drive a situation and how much you engage people, that can make you a type of leader that is either delightful, people are delightful and they're your friends, or you are friends to your team, or destructive if you have a low engagement and low drive. And for a friendship leadership, it's more like a high drive but a low, um, a high engagement but a low drive. And for leaders who are demanding, they really have low engagement with the people, but they really drive you to produce things. And of course, there are performers or dynamic leaders. In other words, they engage you highly, they interact with you highly, and they can also steer you or mentor you in the right direction. So based on all the knowledge, and that's why I said for a new career position or something that you would involve in leading, you need to know what factors matters, and you need to ask yourself, in what way can I lead, by making a simple leadership quadrant and using it to drive your team. We will look at this more in other examples to come. Thank you.